For some people, the word faith is the highest ideal they aspire to. For others, the word faith is a horrible escape from reality, and sometimes it's associated with religious fanatism, with religious corruption, with religious institutes. We will address the question of faith nor from a particular religious dogma, nor from the dogma of atheism and skepticism and scientism, which has also become a dogma on itself. We will look in this question of faith from the perspective of the esoteric teaching, the inner teaching, the mystical teaching, which are universally encompassing different traditions, different spiritual schools, alchemy, and so forth. Essentially, faith connects us to a certain reality, or perhaps we take one step backwards. Belief connects us to a certain reality. Since the 50s, in order to make a scientific experiment, you need to make the experiment together with a test group that receives a placebo. Because if people have a belief that they will heal, even if it's just an empty pill, or some pill with sugar or something, they often heal. And it's quite an exceptional situation that people's belief can heal them. Even surgeries, they are sham surgeries. People had knee surgeries, a whole group, and their knees better, they can walk. And actually the surgery was just cutting and then sewing. They didn't do anything. But people believed they passed an operation and they healed. The potential of healing that exists in their body always was activated through the belief. Now, when people believe something bad, something scary, they become anxious. When we think about something and imagine something and believe something negative, our sympathetic system will be activated, will be anxious. Anything from claustrophobic situations, all sorts of phobias, they are not based on reality. They are based on a wrong belief. So, when we believe something, our inner world, our body, our nerve system, our subconscious will come closer and will connect us to that reality, good and bad. This is belief. Belief is, you can believe in good, you can believe in bad. Faith is a particular form of belief that is good. When we have a belief that everything will turn out for the better, that is faith. It's a certain faith in life. When we believe that in every challenge of life there is a meaningful lesson, there is something important to learn, that is a faith again in the wisdom of life. When we believe there is an order in things, that there is nothing random, that again is a faith. And then different traditions would create, customize, or bring forth a particular faith in God, Krishna, Christ, Buddha, the Prophet. In the same way that belief connects us to a reality, a spiritual faith, when it is strong, connects us to that spiritual reality. You can say that belief is like Wi-Fi that connects us to different parts of the internet, and that faith is a particular Wi-Fi that connects us to different elevated, universal, spiritual realities. When the faith is strong, we have a very strong signal and we can connect very intensely with that reality. So, you know, when you have a very lousy, like think of 90s kind of internet, if you are alive in the 90s, I was, so end of the 90s, internet was very slow. It would take you 10 minutes to download a picture or send a message or something. So if faith is very flimsy, and we're like having a little bit of faith that there is some kind of reality, we're going to receive a little bit from that spiritual reality. A little bit. An image, an intuition, a little bit of emotional comfort. When the Wi-Fi is stronger, we can see images clearly. When the faith is stronger, we will receive much more impulse from that spiritual reality. And when the faith is just immense, then yes, we can move mountains, we can download movies, we can stream video and all that when the Wi-Fi is very, very good. For most people, the level of faith is even if it's big, it's not extraordinarily big, and then you would normally see the effects of faith only inside of you. And then somebody comes and says, well, your faith is rubbish. And you say, no, it makes me feel really good. I have a crisis, and then I pray with faith, and that faith gives me strength. It gives me emotional resilience. It gives me hope. And the other person can say it's just self-suggestion, but for a person of faith, if your faith is strong enough, you feel you are being supported, and you are being supported of something greater. But then for a skeptic, it's like, I can't see what you are. And it's like they want to see the internet without ever turning on their Wi-Fi. Yeah? So please show me the internet. And you can't show them your own inner screen. You say, well, you have to open the Wi-Fi on your screen, on your phone, if you want to see it on your phone. He says, no, I don't want to open Wi-Fi, show me the internet. Well, it doesn't work. Because faith is the connector, is the bridge, is the Wi-Fi. And in the absence of that, that reality remains blocked. So you can say that doubt is limiting our experience to a very material, raw experience. And that actually the belief in the reality as science brings it creates that narrow materialistic reality that people believe in because they doubt everything else and they believe very strongly in science, and that's why you make a fake, in the old times, people believed in, I don't know what, some healers. The healer would touch them and they would heal themselves. They would touch their knee and they would heal themselves. Today they believe in science, so you give them a pill, and the bigger the pill, the better. If they take 2 pills is better. I think blue pill is better than red pill, and so forth. Placebo works, and sham surgeries work because for people that believe in science. As we develop faith, if you want to have faith, and you want to experience the world that you can experience through faith, and you can do it with a specific belief, take Christianity or Hinduism or Buddhism, or you can have a generalized faith that perhaps includes and even transcends the different spiritual traditions. You would first go through a stage where you're trying to cultivate faith and you don't have it yet. And it would be a game of playing a bit with faith, and we will explain in a moment how to increase it, and not really having it yet. And then what will happen is that faith will oscillate. We will increase it, reading spiritual books, being with spiritual people, asking the big questions of life, seeing things in a very fresh, in a very attentive way, free from the social dogma and the materialistic dogma. So our faith will oscillate, like a very oscillating Wi-Fi. And then at one point, faith will reach a certain, in its highs and lows, it will suddenly reach quite high, and then we will have a spiritual experience. And that spiritual experience will lift the ground. We say, no, but I experienced that. That was real. I know it. Perhaps you received a sign also, a little sign. A little rainbow appeared, a little vision you had came true, a little premonition you had came true. Something concrete, the door open, To many of my friends and students, and many times in my life, these kind of signs, which in the beginning they're very, very important. If you look at the tarot deck, the first or the second card, there's the Fool and then there's the Magician. This is the beginning of the path. You need a sign. And according to the faith, you will receive a little sign, a little experience. Okay, no, my consciousness was completely transcendental in that moment. Okay, I remember that. And then one little experience will give faith. And then we will stabilize in a higher level and faith will oscillate there. And gradually, if we persevere with the practice, and I think I will open up the idea of how to practice now and how to increase faith, gradually our faith will become bigger and bigger. We'll speak about a few possible ways of growing in faith. One that is really essential is to read spiritual texts, authentic spiritual texts, and biographies of great spiritual masters. If you read them with discernment, with clarity, you will have a very clear indicator, and we can put a list with hundreds of spiritual biographies that humanity has to offer. And if you have a sharp mind, it's good to read cross-cultural biographies and to understand the essence beyond and in all the different traditions. And once you read their lives, and many of the testimonies are extremely honest and very profound, you will get a strong feeling of what faith can do and what faith did in their lives. The second is systematic spiritual practice. If you're doing yoga, do a lot of yoga. If you do meditation deeply. If you pray, pray very deeply. Pray a lot. Pray systematically if you do Qigong or Tai Chi or whatever it is that you do. If it's an authentic spiritual practice, the practice will bring spiritual realizations and spiritual transformations, and then the measuring, the acknowledgement, the results themselves, they don't bring faith just by themselves. It is the conscious acknowledgement of the results that the spiritual practice brings. It's important not just to practice, but to have results, and not just to have results, but to see the results that you have. And then if you realize, okay, these people say, focus on that chakra and breathe like this and do that. Well, I'm not sure chakras exist or not, but I focused there where they told me. I was breathing like that and I was doing that asana. And my God, I feel confident. And I went outside, this is the chakra, whatever, third chakra, and I went to my workplace and I went with my family, and my God, I became really confident. And you make the connection, you realize, okay, maybe there's something there. Maybe it's not exactly what they told me, but this brings confidence. And then you do another exercise and you get love. You're like, okay, there is results and this is working. And if this is working, what's written in chapter 1 of the spiritual book, maybe also what's written in chapter 2 and chapter 3 are working. Maybe also astral projection, and maybe enlightenment and samadhi are also real. And so you go, you know, okay, I discovered this gives me confidence, maybe I also have a soul, like they said on that book. And then you start to experiment and have direct experience. How do you differentiate between false belief, dogmatic belief that has dried out corrupt religious institutes, and real faith? You differentiate by your direct experience. You have discernment, it takes a bit longer, but you have discernment and you have a direct experience, and another one, and you build your faith on your experience. But once you have a few experiences, you can make a bet on a great faith. And you can try for a week. Say, well, I've done chapter 1, 2, and 3 of this book. Now I have confidence, I have health, I have tremendous vitality, I have love. Let me believe that enlightenment is possible. Let me believe that there is God that loves me, or whatever, in whatever tradition you're in. Let me believe in that fully for a week. And then you see that once you have great faith, for a week, why don't you try for an hour? If you have great faith for an hour while you're meditating or practicing, you will see that your practice is 10 times stronger, 100 times stronger, and that you get such immense results. Because now you have real Wi-Fi when you pray, meditate, do yoga or Qigong. And then if the faith works, you might as well keep your faith very high. And gradually you can grow in faith in this way. So a good spiritual reading, good spiritual teachers, good spiritual friends, isn't it like if you have friends that have faith, excellent. And a good spiritual practice, a good direct experience. Now the other thing we need to do is to doubt the doubt. Mainstream society has been in a kind of war against the corruption of religious institutes for quite some time. And it's very good and very important to clear the world from the corruption of religious institutes. Very true. But in the process, they're also attacking the faith of the people. The scientific discoveries have shown that a lot of the dry dogma of religion is false. But the heart of spirituality is not at all contradictory to any scientific experiment. Nothing that is hardcore science, not speculative science, not scientism, not the dogma of science that in a century people will hate and will fight, because it is just becoming the new dogma of religion, a religion of scientism, a religion of materialism, a heartless religion. None of the scientific experiments rejects or denies the existence of a superior consciousness. When it comes to consciousness is the hard question of science, to quote Professor Chalmers, and we don't know what consciousness is, and that's just that. And to say that consciousness is in the brain is very poor. It's like you want to say, what's a computer? Well, computer is in the office. That's very little to say about a computer, and it's not even sure that that's true. And it's very good to read the scientific experiments, and there are many that prove spirituality, and I'll name like a few. So Raymond Moody, Sabom, and Van Lommel with the research of near-death experience. Dr. Green with the paranormal research of Swami Rama. The research of Andy Newberg and Baim with about 10 enlightened Zen monks and about 10 Christian nuns that were enlightened. Their brain, when they are in those states of enlightenment, shows that they are completely transcending time, space, and individuality. The research of Sarah Lazar from Harvard University about the effects of meditation and so forth. There is so much scientific research, because people say, no, science hates spirituality and science makes sense, so I don't have faith. No, but read the science of spirituality. There's so much of it. The research of Joe Dispenza, this excellent book, You Are the Placebo, the research of Lipton, and so forth. There is so much out there by now that indicates the reality of spirituality. So this will help a lot to go beyond the doubts of the material world and really to study this. You see, 80-something% of the people in the world believe in a spiritual reality. 80-something%. But what you see on mainstream media and what you see in Hollywood and a lot of the mainstream entertainment, be it the news and all that, is that, yeah, everybody's atheistic. Nobody has faith. It's very rare to see, like, the mainstream movies. You get a lot of B movies with some Christian faith or some Buddhist faith or some Hindu faith or something. But to see real faith, you don't see, nor in the news, nor very, very rarely, very marginalized, and it doesn't represent the vast majority of humanity, and people believe we are living in an atheistic world. Atheism are very, very, very small minority, simply because the spiritual reality exists and people intuit it. But people have lost their confidence because they're stuck with their eyes on the screen. And for some reason, perhaps there are reasons, it's a topic of another discussion, the mainstream media is very much not spiritual, even mocking spirituality. So it's important to go beyond and to really tackle and face each one of us these forces, and to remember that your doubts are your limitations and your faith is your possibilities. If you have tremendous and total faith in whatever spiritual, like an authentic spiritual tradition, if you have perfect and total faith, you almost don't need anything more. That reality will become your reality. You will be able to access it. And once you're able to access it, you will gain even bigger faith. And once you have even bigger faith, you will be able to dive ever deeper into that reality. You see, there are 250 Christian saints, their body didn't rot. 250. Padre Pio is an example, Charbel, and one of the little girls from Fatima, if you want 3 examples from the 20th century. Great yogis like Yogananda, and there was another great Buddhist monk in Mongolia, their body doesn't rot after they die. Aurobindo had his body glow for days after he died. When people have faith, they reach and they connect to a very truthful reality, an extraordinary spiritual reality that is hard to express in words, that is easily misunderstood, but nevertheless is a great reality. And in that reality, life gains a completely new meaning, a tremendous meaning. And the pettiness, the trivialities of day-to-day life, all the problems, they look like very small trivialities compared to that immensity of a spiritual reality. And if you are cautious and attentive and willing to take this path of faith with discernment, not falling into dogma, not falling into this blind belief, not entering some cuckoo things, but you take the hard way of discernment, of practice, of direct experience. Your direct experience will reveal to you what it has revealed to so many people for millennia, that the spiritual reality is the essence of human life, is the hope, is the arranging factor, and in the end of the day is the only true and essential meaning. But it is up for each one of us to make the steps to be courageous and to discover it. These ideas can be quite triggering, and it's very good. And if you want to share a bit in the comments, your perspectives and your views, we can have a very fruitful dialogue. If you like this video and want to learn more about Tantra, about yoga, about psychology, emotional healing, lives of saints and the scriptures,
then hit the bell, like, subscribe, and you'll never miss an upload. Thank you so much.